Institute welcome you. Appreciate your being here with us. In our tradition, we often come together not just through words, but through the use of sound, mantras. A very simple mantra that many of you would be familiar with is the sound syllable Om. But we could chant 3 times together. Om. And I'll lead the chant. Everybody can join in. And as we chant, you can even close your eyes and feel that you allow the vibration of that sound to resonate inside of you. And in this way, we come together through sound. You can close your eyes if you like. Inhale. Say a few words of introduction to our afternoon and evening together. This gathering of faiths is inspired in part by the centennial anniversary of Sri Swami Satchidananda's birth. Swami Satchidananda is the yoga master who came from India to the United States in 1966. And from his teaching, the Integral Yoga Organization formed. This building, some people were asking me a few minutes ago, this building was purchased in 1970 by a group of his followers who somehow managed to scrape together enough money for a down payment. Somebody said earlier, we could never afford a building like this now. So the 100-year anniversary of his birth takes place in December of this year. And one of his main efforts in his service and his teaching of yoga was to bring together representatives from different faiths, to learn from each other, to inspire each other, to highlight the underlying essential truths or the spirit, right, that all these faiths have in common. Certainly, if we reflect in the history of our planet, we see so much unrest and so much suffering, so much fighting caused mainly by the ways that we divide each other, divide ourselves from each other. Ironically, even in the name of spirituality, of religion, which should be something that brings us together. There's so many divisions created. Whenever I think of this, I always remember this anecdote that some of you heard me mention before. Once when Swami Satchidananda was speaking to a group of medical practitioners at a hospital, doctors and nurses. He was asked by someone, is there some underlying or spiritual cause to disease? Is it possible, from a spiritual point of view, to name some common denominator in disease? he went to a blackboard in the room and he wrote the word illness on the blackboard. And then he wrote the word wellness on the blackboard. And then he went back and circled the I, and then he circled the we. Which was his answer. So, when we gather like this, I often think of that way that he expressed the idea that we suffer when we divide ourselves, right? When we separate ourselves. And of course, a gathering like this is not meant to convert anyone to a different way of faith, or to create some kind of new homogeneous faith that takes a little bit from each tradition. It's meant more to appreciate, to celebrate, and be inspired by all the different paths, all the different ways, and to learn from them, but ultimately to understand the common denominators, the common sources that we all share. And in that way, not just intellectually, but to really experience for ourselves that truth and carry that with us into our lives in the world. Of course, each of us has a particular way of worshiping, a way of understanding, a way of expressing what we understand. But at the heart of each of those different ways is essentially the same truth. An analogy that my teacher often used for that was how everyone might enjoy a different cuisine. But ultimately, whether it's pasta or pizza, or it's sushi, or matzo ball soup, rice and vegetables with seaweed, right? Whatever it is, it's ultimately the same elements. Right? And we all end up eating the same type of thing, just different preparation, different way of presenting the same elements. So that's our vision here in Integral Yoga, in coming together this way, is to learn from each other, inspire each other, and ultimately to walk away with this message of understanding understanding what you could call the unity in diversity, and having that be a message that we carry with us as we interact with others in the world. So, without further delay, let's go ahead and have each of the ministers who've come, and I'm so grateful to all of them, present something from their own tradition. Rather than give a lengthy introduction for each person, you have that in your program so that you can see in more detail their background or where they're from. But I'll introduce each one by one, and we'll start with Lama Drimed Lodro from the, I'm not sure how to pronounce the place. How do you pronounce it? Dorje?
Origin Durjitan.
Like that. Thank you. Please, if you would, then you can stand if you're comfortable. Then he has with him a translator who will also help us understand him properly. Yes.
You're writing that.
Okay.
首先非常感谢主办单位的邀请，给我机会到这里来，从藏传佛教的观点，给予大家分享佛教的精神以及价值。
Well, first of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Integral Yoga Institute of San Francisco for inviting me to this interfaith retreat to share with you the core spiritual values representing Tibetan Buddhism.
佛教的主要精神是帮助众生离苦得乐。
It is our innate inclination to not want to suffer but seek constant happiness. The main purpose, therefore, of Buddhism is to show the path to attain that goal.
之所以如此，因为释迦牟尼佛认知了痛苦的根源，并且找到了离苦得乐的就是究竟方案。以身作则，证入涅槃，涅槃脱离了轮回的痛苦。
Realizing the nature of suffering, the Four Noble Truths, that is the truth of suffering, the illusion of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering, Buddha Shakyamuni exemplified himself as the one who had awakened from that truth and entered into the ultimate state of enlightenment.
那他所提供给愿意依附他的方式离苦得乐的入的方法是什么呢？那就是六度。
The teaching Buddha had left behind is to show us just such path, how to be free from suffering and attain perpetual happiness. So what does this path entail? For those who wish to follow Buddha's footsteps to attain the ultimate happiness.
为什么要形成六度呢？这是为了纯净我们的相续。我相信，其他的宗教的引导都夺取了荟萃的作用，在此与佛教相似。就是说，就是佛教里面所讲的方式，跟就是其他宗教的方式，也是在这个方面呢有点相似的。
So the path Buddha has introduced to us is to practice so-called six perfections. And what does the six perfections do or help us achieve? You may ask. The practice of six perfections is to purify our mind stream, or in the context of other religion, to cleanse our spirit or our energy field so we can transcend and elevate our state of existence to a higher level.
那这个呢，在这个方面上呢，我相信所有的宗教都是要将我们的这个心灵提升，然后呢，就是更高的一个层次。只是呢，我们每一个宗教的方式不一样。
I believe that all religions teach people the importance of enacting charity, cultivate compassion, and repent for one's sins or wrongdoings in one form or another. Even though the ways they were done or practiced are different, but I think it serves the same purpose of purifying our state of being in order to elevate ourselves to the higher level of existence.
那佛教所提倡的六度，代表的就是六种行为，就是帮助人在日常生活中的繁琐与痛苦， 中找到行为的准则，让自己最终达到离苦得乐的究竟目标。
So this Buddhist solution called the sixth perfection means the sixth way of being, or the sixth aspect of spiritual practice, which provide guidelines to anchor the code of conduct without further sullying our mind stream amidst the affliction and chaos life bring about, and also solidify our goal to attain ultimate enlightenment and eventually get there.
那我们在这里六度里面的话，我们首先就是第一个度呢，我们就属于是布施，叫做布施。那这个布施呢，可以分为很多种，但是呢，在今天呢，我这里就是跟大家介绍2种。
So the first out of the sixth perfection is a practicing of generosity. There are many ways to practice generosity, but today I'm going to introduce just the two of them.
首先第一个布施呢，我们所说的就是财务的布施。这个呢，现在在这个世界上有很多的有善心的人士们在做这个慈善的活动就是帮助需要的众生，给他们财务上的支持、食物上的支持这个呢就是属于是我们所说的第一个布施里面的第一个。
So the first type of practicing generosity would be the donation of wealth, which you know or we witness in our daily life that many people who have been sponsoring foundation and charity in many different forms, that mainly providing their wealth to the people who need it.
比如说最近几年在世界各地有很多的水灾地震就是灾难的时候，有很多的慈善机构拿起他们各界累积起来的财产去帮助他们，那这就是我们所说的6度里面的其中一个布施财务的。
So in the last decades we have experienced terrible disasters such as flood or earthquake in major magnitude, and as a result we have seen a lot of people coming forward and donate their money to all these different kinds of foundations, who would then collect the donation to purchase or procure necessary equipment to put the aid to the people in the area who need these helps. So these are the practicing of generosity in terms of wealth.
然后呢，从这一个角度上来讲的话呢，这是我们佛教里面所讲的布施度里面的一个行为。这个我觉得也是其他的所有宗教在这个上面我们没有任何的矛盾，而且我们有共同点。
And I believe the act of donating money being one of the practices of generosity in the context of Buddhism, this is common to all religions, and I don't see any difference in this area. This is being practiced in all kinds of religions.
不但是有宗教信仰的人，而且就算是一个没有宗教信仰的人，但是呢，他有善心的人，也就是在包括这个里面。
This is actually not only being practiced by believers or of any religion, but also by the non-believers who doesn't follow any religion or religious practice, but they have this innate kindness to extend their help to people who need it.
所以我们这个就是我们大家的共同点。
So this is the basic commonality that we all share as human beings.
第二个是什么呢？第二个就是我们第二个布施就是布施爱心。布施爱心是什么呢？我们将我们心里面的就是爱就是布施给大家。